Hi. My question is Peter Selmer from Capital Intel. It's for both Secretary Foxx and Teamster President Hoffa. We've been hearing a lot about the National Infrastructure Bank. It's been floating. Its ability to fund the valid infrastructure project on a return on investment basis, first dollar lost by private sector investors. We know Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, we have Abu Dhabi, all these funds who would like to go into it. Highway authorization is a very inefficient means. Everybody agrees. All the governors would like to have their own control. What do you think of that prospect of privatizing airports, getting toll roads, anything that can rate return on investments? We know ports, everybody's ports are above average. It's a political decision. If there's a return on investment basis, those projects can go ahead without any controversy. Could I get a statement from both of you, sirs?
Were you talking about privatizing the basically have Goldman Sachs on the airport?
Yeah.
Well, that's one approach. I mean, I don't know. I would wonder how that would work because when you have them having to make a profit, you wonder what suffers with regard to that concept. When it's driven by, are they going to suppress wages so they can make more money? Are they going to, privatize and lay off where there's union people, get rid of union people? Probably. So that's the downside of a privatization where profit is the motive. Obviously, we've seen what's happened. That has been tried with regard to some of the highways. The Chicago toll road and there, that was some group from Australia a couple years ago was coming up with trillions of dollars to buy the way, and then they would have bonds and things like that. And that has worked to some extent, but I guess in Chicago it's not working now. They can't pay the bonds, the payments. So, it's hard to predict the future as to what's going to happen, how much traffic there's going to be. But one experiment that I'm aware of is the one in Chicago, which is, I guess, called the Skyway. And that was done, and I guess Indiana Toll Road did the same thing. And these are projects that are some of what you're talking about. So, and it's funded by like a huge group from Australia. So that's one concept, and we'll see how they work. But I don't think they've been that successful. But it is an idea. It hasn't been tried yet. But that's a very philosophical idea of having somebody privately own your airport.
I'd say, we're pretty bullish about public-private partnerships in general. I think some of the issues that have been raised around ensuring that folks working on projects have adequate means to live and so forth are legitimate concerns. But I would just say that there are two issues that we have to resolve as a country on this. One is that the public understands funding of transportation, but when you start talking about financing transportation and having to pay someone back for initial investment, that's a different type of structure. And you find over and over again that these issues get litigated at the local and state level as communities wrestle with how much they're willing to work with the private sector to get an asset done that they couldn't afford otherwise. The second issue that I would say is that I see public-private partnerships as part of an all-of-the-above strategy that we have to have as a country. We have massive needs, and the public sector can absorb some of that. But if we can get the private sector and the ingenuity of the private sector engaged, as I think the governor mentioned, this starts to help us close that infrastructure deficit even more.